o'clock. Now, cancer is something we're all familiar with in some way or another. In whatever way it's touched your life, it's touched my life in the past. It's a word nearly all of us fear. But Liverpool research has been awarded more than £900,000 to develop infrared technology which will reduce the need for oral cancer biopsies. Cancer Research UK and the National Institute for Health and Care Research have awarded the money to Professor Richard Shaw's team at Liverpool's Head and Neck Centre. And eventually it's hoped that this type of infrared technology will be used to detect other types of cancer. With us today we have Professor Shaw and David Harris from Wilton, who's been treated by the team, and they join me in the studio. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us this morning. It really is. Let's start with you, Professor Shaw. Tell us a little bit more about the research into this new infrared wand.
Sure. So thanks for having us today. What we know is that early diagnosis saves lives, and part of my job as a surgeon is seeing patients who've got relatively advanced cancers and delivering surgery, chemotherapy and radiotherapy as part of our treatment in Liverpool. And understanding that that's only going to go so far to tackling the problem we've got, in particular with head and neck cancer, particularly in Merseyside, we are really energized by the idea of early diagnosis and prevention. This is going to be the way forwards. And so this research that we're now conducting, which is funded by Cancer Research UK, is looking at a new technology that we've paired with the Department of Physics at the university to develop an infrared wand, which looks at samples taken from patients to get an extra layer of information to make right decisions. So what we know is that about 1 in 25 of the population has patches in their mouth or their throat or their lips, which have the chance to become malignant, but most of them don't. So we've got this real problem between over-treatment and under-treatment, because these things are obviously relatively common. And what we want to identify is the ones that are highest risk for transforming to cancer eventually. We can nip them in the bud and treat them early. So that's what this research is about.
Do you know the thing I'd love to find out with these things? Where did the initial idea come from? Who thought, do you know what? If we do something with an infrared wand, we can maybe detect things. Who was the person who did that?
Well, there's two sides of that. The first side of it is as a clinical team in the Head and Neck Centre, we've got this frustration. We've got a clinical problem. We're looking for a technology to solve. And that is something that my team on the clinical side have been frustrated about for more than 2 decades, my whole career. And we've had this clinical issue looking for a solution. In parallel, in the University of Liverpool, Professor Peter Waitman, who's one of the longest established physicists in Liverpool, got interested in the physics of life and had this interest in infrared novel diagnostics and a new device. And he was looking for clinicians to work with. And so we came together about 10 years ago, and actually it took us a wee while to start to get our funding story and to get these grant applications to Cancer Research UK. But I'm pleased to say that this project is now running in Liverpool for the benefit of Liverpool patients.
Absolutely fabulous. And the main benefit to patients and practitioners, is it early diagnosis or is it a quicker process? What are the main benefits going to be?
Yeah, so we're hopefully able to use the what we call the Liverpool Diagnostic Infrared Wand, and we're hopefully able to use this on patient samples and ultimately on patients' mouths just as a mobile device in order to give us better decisions to prevent more cancers in the future. And not only maybe with oral cancer, but from other forms of cancer around the body as well.
Just explain to us the practicalities of how it works, if you want. I don't mean the technological side, but how do you do it? You literally just put this wand in the mouth, and how does it happen?
So that's the ambition, is that in future times we'll be able to take something to somebody's mouth, either in a dental practice or in a community-based, so that we don't have to have the very highest expertise to make these decisions. For the time being, our research is taking samples that have already been taken from patients to the machine. So we've developed a prototype of this device, and we've approached patients over a couple of decades, and we have their samples with their permission, and we're using those samples from our Liverpool patients with the device at the moment in the physics environment.
Brilliant. And talking about patients, we've got David Harris with us. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us. Just tell us your story, because you were alerted to a problem at a dentist appointment, weren't you? Tell us what happened.
That's right. I had been rather foolish and not had dental appointments for quite some time. And then when I had this appointment, these patches of abnormal tissue were discovered in my mouth, and I was referred to the dental clinic. And for a number of years thereafter, I was monitored every 6 months or so. From time to time, a biopsy was taken, and there was no concern about any deterioration into cancer of the tissue. And then at a particular appointment, some abnormal development was identified, a biopsy was taken, and cancerous cells were seen.
And you are very much in support of this technology that's in development at the moment.
Well, I certainly am. If what Professor Shaw has described as the completed version of the technology were available to me then, the potential for this tissue to become cancerous would have been identified at a very early stage, removed before it had even grown, and there would have been no risk of the sort of potential for major surgery that at one stage was contemplated. It would have been a much easier process for me.
Yeah, and the whole experience post-diagnosis would have been different for you as well, wouldn't it?
Well, I would imagine so. It's more a question for Professor Shaw than myself, but I would imagine there would have been a simple laser excision of all the abnormal tissue which has had the potential to become cancerous, and that would have eliminated the risk for the foreseeable future.
How did you feel, David, when you first got the news?
Well, I had not been expecting it at all because I'd had a whole series of examinations with nothing sinister having been seen. And I wasn't expecting to be told that there was the potential now that I had cancer. I'd had cancer before in the colon, so I knew how to manage it, as it were, to compartmentalize it and get on with your life, not letting it dominate you. But I have to say, when you wake up in the middle of the night and the first thing that floods into your mind when you can't control it is, oh my God, I've got cancer. But I was very well informed by Professor Shaw. We considered the options, and ultimately a decision was taken to remove the tissue and see if that was going to be sufficient, rather than go down the path of very major surgery with potential functional consequences. So I managed to deal with it well, but I had to have the support that I did have from the entry team.
And did you feel supported?
Very much so. I mean, I've always felt that each appointment I've had at the dental clinic has been done carefully, thoroughly, and expertly. Whoever the clinician has been has always kept me informed of what was he or she was finding. I could not fault the treatment, and I'm infinitely grateful for it.
And you know, nobody likes going to the dentist, do we? We all go to the. We just hope that they're not going to find something that needs filling or anything like that. But in hindsight, I bet you're glad you took up that dental appointment.
Absolutely. I mean, I now know it's one of the functions of a dental surgeon to be looking into your mouth as well as caring for your teeth. If there's anything abnormal about your health and your oral health, then that's picked up at the routine dental appointment. So it's wise to have those appointments regularly, but how you achieve that in the current state of the dental services in the country, I have not the faintest idea.
I mean, this is a great story, Professor, isn't it? Because, you know, we all see adverts for, you know, Cancer Research UK, for other cancer research organisations as well. And we you know, you never really think about, well, okay, they got the money in, they're doing a great job. What happens with the money? Here's a prime example right on our doorstep of how that money is going to be used really well. You must be excited as a clinician and as a researcher that you've got this ability to now take it forward.
Yeah, and I think the strategy from Cancer Research UK, listening to their funding strategy, is been a little shift towards prevention early diagnosis, realising that if our patients come with advanced disease, although we'll do our very best for them, to a certain extent, you know, the strategy to actually nip cancers in the bud is far more effective. And to say early diagnosis saves lives. And the story that David's told, and very generously told his story and how he feels about it, unfortunately, that's fairly common. and even presenting with early stage disease or precancerous changes is a lot of anxiety for the patients. And this ability for us to harness the best researchers in the university, the clinical problem we've got with our patients, is how we like to do things with Liverpool and work in partnership with Cancer Research UK and other funders to try and get the clinical problems dealt with here in Liverpool and Merseyside.
It's funny, isn't it? Because when people think about universities, they think about students. They think about them having a great time and you know, bringing money into the local economy and all the rest of it. But this is such a big issue about what universities are there for. They're doing, as you are, incredible research that's helping people in the future.
Well, we've actually got quite a large team around this problem of head and neck cancers, such as oral cancer, in Liverpool. And the university has been persuaded to invest in drug treatments, in surgical treatment and other technologies in partnership with the NHS and in partnership with our patients. And with this broad envelope, we've called it the Liverpool Head and Neck Centre. And I'm pleased to say that Cancer Research UK has invested in a number of our projects. So yes, what the university does is relevant to real people in Liverpool and not just an abstract thing that goes on in lecture theatres. Yeah.
Brilliant. Just one very, very quick question to you, David, if I would. If there's somebody sitting there looking at their calendar on the wall or looking at their diary, go, oh, got a dentist appointment next week, I really don't want to go, what would you say to them?
Go.
Brilliant. David Harris, Professor Richard Shaw, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for the great work you're doing as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.